1,
2,
3,
4.
Monster movie.
Fun time, go! Monster movie.
Fun time, go. Monster.
Movie.
Fun time.
Go!
Monster movie. Fun time, go.
With Precious D and Honey Bee.
Fun time, go!
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends and neighbors, welcome once again to Monster Movie Fun Time Go. 31 Days of the Dead. Day 17. My guest today is my old friend, Jed Dusler. Welcome back to the show, Jed.
It's a pleasure to be here, Dom. How's it going?
All right. Now, Jed, today we're discussing a movie about an all-girl band that has the word pussy in the title, and yet somehow we are not talking about Josie and the Pussycats.
That's true. Can I say one thing beforehand?
Sure.
Can I say it was my birthday this past week, and you want to know what I had for my birthday?
Pussy cake?
I had pussy cake. Isn't that wonderful? I don't know what that means, but I felt it was a good segue to get us started.
Yes. So in case you haven't picked it up, folks, the name of this movie is Pussy Cake, not Pussycats. Pussy Cake. It's not about Josie, but it is an all-girl band from Argentina. This is a Spanish language movie from Argentina from 2021. And
It's fairly recent. Thank you.
And I couldn't find as much information as I would have liked about this movie. Normally, Wikipedia will have a pretty detailed entry. They list the cast, but not who they were playing. So I had to go to IMDb for that, which doesn't have pictures next to anybody. So I'm like, oh, wait, which one was she? So there's no budget listed or box office listed. But I think this it did have like a small premiere and then went to the streaming services. And if you want to watch it, folks, it's on most of the things for free.
Yeah. And I mean,
Prime.
it had, to be honest, it had good production value. I mean,
Oh,
you
yeah.
and I've been in quite a few, independent features, and sometimes they range from zero budget to a pretty substantial budget. But I mean, it was pretty good. It was a pretty good budget, I'm assuming, to be able to get the high production quality value that they got.
Yeah, no, it's I just don't know what the budget. I don't know what the budget is, but no, it's not a cheap movie. It's a reasonable. I mean, it's not an expensive movie, but it's a reasonably priced movie. Reasonably priced,
Right.
is that
Sure.
what we say? So let me just what few stats I have. It's directed by Pablo Perez, written by Maxi Ferzola, and it came out in December of 2021. This doesn't even list the length of it, but let's see if IMDb says how long the movie is.
Well, it definitely felt longer than it. I cracked myself.
It does not say how long the movie is. So, but let me talk about our cast here briefly. So we have Macarena Suarez, going by
That's a great
Maca
name.
Suarez.
It's an hour and
I'm
22
sure
minutes, by the way.
Okay, thanks. I'm sure there was a period in the early 2000s when she regretted having that name, but she
Or
plays
that's when
Ellie.
she came up with her stage name.
She's young. Maybe her parents named her after the song.
Oh, wow. I didn't even think about that, man. Now I really feel
No, that's
old.
yeah. No, her name is Macarena, but in the credits, I think she's listed as Maca, and maybe that's why
Well-
she's like, I'm getting tired of. I'm calling myself Maca. I'm getting tired of people yelling, "Hey, Macarena" at me.
It's always
Anyway,
turning
she's
around.
Ellie Cake. Yeah. Aldana Roberto is Sarah Cake. Sophia Rossi is Juli Cake. Anahi Polito is Sophie Cake. Flor Moreno is Pato. Rodrigo Ferreira is Cazador. Amanda Nara is Simon. Diego Prinz is Nino. Paradise Kiss plays Madre. That's a heck of a name.
No kidding.
Akila's
I'm pretty sure that's her birth
Veko?
name. Or their
Yeah,
birth
yes.
name.
There's no picture next to her. I don't know if I'll see if she has her own page. Aquila's Vecho is Cientifico. And Florencia Moreno is listed, but it doesn't say who Florencia plays. So it just says Madre. I assume that means she's the mother because they never say the mother's name at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, and this is her only credit.
She said, I had one slice of pussy cake. That was enough.
Yeah.
No seconds.
So the name of the band is Pussy Cake, but this is an Argentinian Spanish language movie. So, but the name of the band is the English words Pussy Cake. They never
Correct,
explain
because-
why they're called that.
Right. But all the people at their show had all of the shirts, had all the swag that said
Yeah.
pussy cake on there. So it was nothing that was lost or weirded in translation.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
the name.
No, they say we're Pussy Cake. Gracias.
People wearing the name of the band on their shirt that
Yeah.
they're going to see. That's classic.
And we don't find out until the end that they've done a Ramones, where they're all pretending they have the same last name, which is
Right.
Cake.
Right.
That's not
Yes.
mentioned. First you see it in the credits, and then at the very end. Oh, okay. At the very end
Oh,
of the
yeah.
movie, they show a part of the concert from earlier in the movie. Because
Right.
spoilers, we
With
spoil the shit out
like
of
freeze
this. We always
frames
do,
or
folks.
something, right?
But
Yeah.
at the end of the movie, they show there's a concert near the beginning of the movie. They're wrapping up not a concert, but a show at a little small venue, a little club. And at the end of the credits, so maybe you didn't see this, Jen.
Standing room only.
We go back to that show, and then we see the part of the show where they introduce the band, like you always
Right.
do, right? And that's the only time in the movie that they're referred to by their stage names of
Yes.
Sophie Cake and Sarah Cake and Julia Cake. So I just thought that was weird not to establish that earlier in the
Right.
film,
Do you think
and to never
do you think
explain.
if they
Go ahead.
made an all male version of this band, it would be called like Penis Pie?
Dick Cake, penis pie.
I was
don't
trying to have
know.
some
I don't
alliteration
know.
there.
Yeah, but they don't explain. I mean, I assume the name is intended to be crude, but they never explain why they're called that. Or, it doesn't. It's just, I liked this movie. Don't get me wrong, folks. I like this movie, but it's a bad title because that title tells you nothing about the movie.
Correct.
You have, just from that title, you have no idea what kind of movie you're about to watch. Similar to the Firefly and Serenity. That title doesn't tell you anything about that show or that movie. Whereas Buffy the Vampire Slayer, that title tells you exactly what you're getting.
That's right. And you should definitely go watch that.
Yes. So what did you, Jed, what are your general impressions of Pussy Cake?
I wrote down some notes while I was watching the movie, as I always do. And
Mhm.
the one that stuck out the most to me was it's all over the place, just like the new Beetlejuice movie.
I
I
haven't
don't know if
seen it
you've
yet,
seen
but
the new Beetlejuice movie,
not
but
yet.
it's all
Not
over
yet.
the place.
I'm waiting for it to come on Disney or whatever.
So wanted to love it, and I had just such a confused kind of bewilderment. I'm not very often bewildered in a movie theater, but I was during Beetlejuice. I was like, should I be taking notes during this? I'm eating popcorn. Anyways, but yes, for this movie, it was the same feeling. It was all over the place. Like, I wasn't really sure, and we can get into this, if it was a zombie movie, because I know that's kind of the theme of your stuff
Yeah.
this year, right?
Right.
And that's how you presented it to me as well. But it didn't necessarily seem like a zombie movie. It almost seemed like an alien movie or a Event Horizon movie where,
Right.
I don't know, they created some sort of portal to hell and this is what came back. It was all over the place.
So everything I've seen describes it as a zombie movie. I found out about it because this other podcast that I listened to was doing an episode about it, and they described it as a zombie movie. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to listen to this yet. I'm going to go. This seems like something I might want to cover. I looked it up, and I was like, okay, I'll put this on the list. I have found during the course of this year's 31 Days of the Dead that in movies, zombies are defined by their behavior rather than their origin or their biology.
Okay.
So
all right.
I've run across a lot of zombie movies that, okay, they're acting like zombies, but they are not either voodoo zombies or Romero zombies. Technically speaking, they're not the living dead, but they're behaving like zombies, so we're going to call them zombies.
Well, I mean,
that seems to be
and there was
the rule.
some of that as well.
Yeah,
But it was just so, I don't know. Like I said, it was just so, it was strange.
it's weird.
I had more questions than comments when I was writing my notes.
I think I know what's going on. So folks, the movie starts with a setup of a son. There's a family. There's a mother and a son, and we see from various clippings on the walls and stuff that the father is a scientist who has disappeared, and the son is trying to recreate his father's experiments because he believes that he disappeared because of the experiment. He was experimenting with some sort of space-time dimension stuff. And so the son seems to believe that if he can recreate the experiment, he can find his father.
You know, like teenagers do these days.
Yes. Yeah. He's like, fortunately, Dad left a lot of detailed notes, so I've been able to reconstruct exactly what he did. And what he does is he opens a portal to another dimension, and does find his dad, who's been zombified in a way.
Yes.
So then he gets, and presumably, and the kid and the mother end up dead, and apparently the whole little town ends up, or at least that neighborhood ends up dead. Then we cut to Pussycake, who's wrapping up a show and needs to get on the road to get to their next gig, which is supposed to be later that same night, or to get to a recording studio. Yeah, I think they're going to a recording studio.
They're leaving that night. Yeah, they're leaving that night.
Yeah.
But I was very shocked at how much of this movie took place during the daytime.
Yes. So I think these zombies they're not voodoo zombies, and they're not the living dead. What they are is some sort of puppet master zombies, in that the interdimensional aliens, I think there might even just be one alien. Well, there's two, but one, you know what I'm saying?
Well, that's one more than one.
No, I'm saying that, okay, I'll get to it. Their bodies are being, there's some kind of a slug-like alien that attaches to the back of their head and then moves them around like a puppet master.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There's an old science fiction book called The Puppet Masters, where these aliens attach themselves to the humans and use them as puppets. But in that novel, they're not so obviously. The whole thing is like, oh no, who's being puppeted? In this one, it's pretty obvious that the aliens got you.
You have this cool looking alien mohawk that attaches to the back of your head.
But what I mean is that I think there may only be one of those type of alien that keeps detaching itself and reattaching itself to another person. Because I think we only ever see one of these zombies at a time.
Right. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. I can see that.
Right. And then there is a second alien who seems to be hunting the first alien. Which
yes, I have questions
also
about
turns
him
out
as well.
to be. It also turns out to be a puppet master, but a different kind.
Right. For a long time, we kept referring to him as the Bane character.
Yeah.
Kind of looked like Bane.
Yeah.
And we weren't sure if he was the hero or if he was just another, alien or / whatever species he was. Like I said, all over the place.
Yeah, there's times. So the girls run into this situation when they come to town. They run into this situation. Oh, the other thing the first puppet master does is it attacks and then it vomits a white milky substance and on you and tries to get into your mouth, which I believe is some sort of reproductive fluid.
And for some weird reason, every single person in this movie feels the need to touch it. Just like this, I wouldn't touch it, period, just because it looks like, like some old milk or I don't know. It
Yeah.
just looks disgusting. But my first inclination would not be to touch it, and yet every single
Right.
person in this film was like, "What is that? Is that yogurt? Let me try it. Let me
Yeah.
taste it."
So I think because later we find out that one of the girls has these eggs inside her, and so I think that's what's happening. They're not I've read some definition. I mean, some other reviews and that other podcast. I did listen to it after I watched it, and people seem to think that this is turning other people into zombies, but I don't think that's what's happening. I think it's implanting eggs or attempting. The puppet master is attempting to implant its eggs in the other bodies,
Right.
and then a bunch of people end up buried up to their necks on the beach, and I think it's just done this so that they can be hosts for the eggs and they can't go anywhere.
And it kind of
did this- it
harkened
knocked
back
him
to
out.
the "I Want Candy" music video
Yeah,
from the 80s or 90s, whenever that was,
yeah, yeah,
which would have been awesome, but it was nowhere near that. But that's what it reminded me
yeah. So there's also the girls in the band. It's the girls in the band plus their manager, and then she's going to meet up with her boyfriend, who's arranged for them to meet with the recording executive or something. It seems to be very important, this meeting they're trying to
Yes.
get to. And of course, no one's there when they get there because everybody in town's been turned into zombies or has been buried up to their neck by the zombie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at one point, this other alien shows up wearing a Coca-Cola banner as a cape, which I love.
Yeah, I'm sure they got Coca-Cola's permission and money from them to do that.
Yeah. So I think when it came through the portal, it just grabbed the first cloak-like thing it could find and threw it on.
That or
and
the
this-
Coca-Cola marketing execs were like, "Here,
Yeah.
wear this. You'll fit right in with the rest of the people on Earth."
Yeah.
Lies.
So as the girls are, dealing with this situation, then this other big hulking alien thing shows up. And
Bane.
they're assuming that the thing's trying to kill them, but it doesn't actually seem to be. It seems to be trying to attack the other alien, but they don't fully realize at all what's going on. So it's, attacking one of the girls in the band because she's full of alien eggs, and they don't realize that's why it's interested in one of them but not the other, because she's already been vomited on and she's now full of eggs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so there's a lot of misunderstanding going on between the girls and the second alien that isn't actually it's willing to kill them, but it's not trying to kill them. That's not its primary purpose. And at one point, which girl is it? Who dies first? The manager? Pato?
Oh wow, you're really wanting me to remember which one of the cake people died first, but no,
I know.
I could not tell you.
And then Sophie, I think Sophie gets killed second. I was calling her the pretty one. I think Ellie is the survivor girl. So Ellie's the lead singer, but she has this, apparently we see these flashbacks where she's had this abusive boyfriend that she left, and now she and Sarah are a couple, but this is still recent enough that she's still having trauma about it. Well, I mean, sometimes you never get over that trauma, but she's having bad dreams about it, and during some of the violence in the movie, she's having flashbacks to this asshole slapping her around. I liked her light up coat.
Yes, we had talked about that as well. It's like when they were walking in the dark at one point, we were like, "Just turn on your furry
jacket.
light up suit.
Yeah,
It'll come in
She
really
had
handy
her-
right now."
she had this jacket, and she's a singer in a rock band, so I think it looks like it's fur, but then there's like LEDs in it
And that thing
that
stayed
make it light
bright
up.
white, because that thing was
Yeah.
white. That thing
Yes.
stayed bright white for a very long time. I was very
Yes.
impressed.
Yeah, It finally gets fucked up, but it stays nice looking for a long time.
It really
And
does.
the lights
yes.
the batteries finally run out on it at some point. But I was like, that's a
Clearly.
fun outfit.
We'll get you one. Don't worry.
Yeah, thanks. Anyway, I think Sarah ends one of them stabs the big alien. The big alien is pretty tough, and at one point it gets cut, and it just sticks something into himself, injects himself with something, and he heals up. And I think Sarah saw that and wanted to use it on, or Ellie. So one of the girls saw him do that, and when another girl gets infected, she's like, if I can get his little healing thing, that'll fix her. It kind of does, but, but anyway, she stabs the alien in the chest, and it just falls right over, and its cloak or jacket or whatever falls aside, and we see that this thing is also being puppeteered by a different kind of alien. It's not attached to the back of its head. It's sitting in a little capsule, like over its left breast. A little tiny humanoid looking alien is sitting inside of a little glass bubble, apparently piloting the larger body around. And she happens to have stabbed it just right where that pilot is, which he can't heal himself from that. So it was really just his slave body that he was healing earlier, but she's hit him right in the actual what's actually controlling it. So
Wasn't
I
it with
guess
a
in
bow
this
and arrow
other
or something
dimension,
too that just happened to be around?
there's a crossbow at some point.
Yeah,
that
crossbow.
is
That's right.
found
That's right.
laying around, which I did appreciate, because crossbows take a long time to load in real life.
Yes, I have one.
And they can be difficult. And she's having trouble reloading it at one point, and then realizes, I don't have time. I just need to use this as a club, which she does. And I appreciated that.
Yes, I did appreciate that.
In fact, I was telling her, you don't have time for that. Just hit him with it. And then she does.
She took your direction. You are a director,
She
Dominic,
did.
so
She did. Yeah. Yeah.
glad she listened through the television.
Right. So there's a lot of stuff that seems like just crazy random stuff, but I think it's all actually, I think it all makes internal sense. It's just that there's nobody in the movie itself who understands everything, who lays it out for the audience. Because often in this
Right.
kind of movie, I don't think the girls in the movie ever understand completely what's going on. They certainly don't know about the dimensional portal being open. So I think they just gave us credit to figure it out ourselves and didn't have anybody do an exposition dump at any point. But I think it all actually makes sense, and that the writers knew it made sense, planned it out instead. Whereas some movies I'd just seen them sort of people just throwing random cool shit at the wall and not caring if it's connected. Did you have a favorite cake?
I don't know if I had a favorite cake, so to speak, but I thought that the one that was on drugs, not that she's my favorite, but
Huli?
Like, what was her name?
Huli.
Huli
the
was
short one with the green outfit.
Girl. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know what all. I mean, I guess it was implied that it was like LSD or something, and then there was a whole I want to say a whole music video where she's basically tripping, and it's like you're watching something from the 60s. It's very trippy, very LSD induced music video, and I thought it went on a lot longer than it should. So I was like, is this a real band? Is this entire movie just a glorified commercial like The Wizard was for Nintendo? But I always thought that character and how everybody responded to her, they're like, she's bleeding from the nose and she's turning all pale. They're like, I think she did too much drugs. She's really sick. I'm like, no, I don't think it was the drugs.
Right. But it could have, from their perspective, it could have been. I mean, they're in a rock band. They were all doing a little bit of drugs, but Huli just seemed to be doing like multiple things. They've been drinking earlier. And I think she maybe just takes some random pill. I think somebody even says to her, hey, I think
Yeah, it was hard
I
to keep
think
track with all the.
he even says at one point, hey, you shouldn't be mixing things like that. She's like, I don't care.
I'm the
And
druggie in this movie. I mean,
yeah,
in our band.
and doesn't realize when they get to town that there's a huge problem.
Yeah,
They're so she doesn't realize I need to sober up because she doesn't know yet there's a zombie problem in town. So she's just like,
right. Probably the worst time. I'm gonna put this is a PSA for our listeners. Probably the worst
Yeah.
time to ever do LSD is when there's a zombie apocalypse happening in a town near you. I'm just gonna go ahead and throw
Yeah,
that out
yeah.
there.
yeah, stay sober, kids, because
Yeah.
one, you never know when Ron Perlman's going to attack, and two, you never know when there's going to be a zombie outbreak. So you got to be
That's
on your
right.
toes at all times.
Be ready. Be vigilant.
That was another one of our, not a zombie episode, but there was a movie Outlander. They were too drunk when Ron Perlman attacked it.
Well, okay. Well, I also just watched Hellboy the other day, so that's where my
Okay.
mind went at first. But you're going somewhere else.
Yeah. No, yeah. Somewhere else. Jesus. Okay, so I think my favorite cake was the Sophie, just because she was the prettiest one, and then of course she died pretty early on. So I was like, no, not the pretty
Pretty
one.
ones always die first.
I guess so.
There were some great one-liners in the movie.
Okay, such as
Okay, well, I didn't know if you picked up on any of those as well.
I don't think I made any
but
notes.
for right after the LSD music video kind of thing, one of them exclaims, "For God's pussy." I'm like, I don't know if that's a saying somewhere, or if once again it's some sort of lost in translation kind of deal.
Right.
It just seemed very, very strange. But I mean, I loved it. It's a great line. I feel like I want to use it, but I feel like I'd get more questions than that kind of reaction. Another one. I mean, I feel like once again they're trying to push pussy on people's faces. Well, that sounded wrong, but
How dare you? How very dare you?
but the line was, "I was a dumb hot pussy." Once again,
I didn't notice. I don't remember.
Well, once again, to me, it was just like it's like I've been known to cuss quite a few times in my life.
Yeah.
You know, I've worked in bars. I've smashed my finger with a hammer. You know, those kinds of things, and none of those have I ever exclaimed before. So, just interesting.
Did they use
fun lines?
English? Did they use the English word "pussy" like in their band name, or was it in Spanish?
I mean, I was reading the subtitles, so I have no clue
Right.
if they were
You
saying
weren't listening.
it. Yeah, I
You
wasn't
weren't
listening.
listening,
It was one or the other, and my Spanish is not that great. So yeah, no, but that's what the subtitles were. So
Right. Well,
It
the
was
God's
just- it was
pussy might
interesting.
be kind of like, you know how in words like zounds is actually short for God's wounds. And
I don't know these
people
things.
did you not know that? People used to say God's this and God's that as curses, as exclamations. And then they sometimes got shortened into things like zounds instead of God's wounds, because, and I think I've written the exclamation God's balls in a thing or two, or read it other places. So it might
I mean,
be,
I can see that one. I can see that.
yeah. So
Still feel like some of these were just like they're like we
I
got to
think
get
it
the
might be a
name
thing,
a few more times throughout the film.
but I have no idea if that's like an actual exclamation in Argentina or in Spanish in general, or if it was just a thing for this movie because they're pussy cakes.
Yeah. No, I get it. I'm not sure either, but those, I mean, I literally wrote them down the second I heard them. I'm like, well, I'm going to use that one.
Okay. Anything else you want to mention before we wrap up?
Sure. Yeah. Well, for starters, if you're going to watch the movie, and you totally should, I mean, it's not the greatest, but it's also not the worst, and you should totally check it out because it's. But I'll never drink milk or eat vanilla pudding again after watching this movie. I mean, it's just, it's all over the place. Yeah, and why they feel the need to touch it. Like I said, the consistency and everything.
Don't
I'm
do
just
that.
like, nope. It's a good thing I wasn't eating my yogurt at the time.
I was a little curious, just technically, how they achieved that effect. Was there just a hose going up on the side of their mouth, or did the actress just hold a bunch of hold it, okay, and action? But it seemed like more that there must have been a hose involved at some point.
Yeah, no, I mean it was
Off to the
massive
side.
quantities of this stuff.
It was a lot.
And I guess the last thing is, once I'll give another spoiler, like we've been doing this entire thing. There is one lone survivor at the end. So I think about it from a band perspective. It's like, okay,
Right.
the metaphor is
Solo career.
she wanted to go out on a solo career. So is it like
Right.
Pussy Slice? Is that what her
Just a slice of
spin-off's
cake,
gonna
not a full cake.
be? Yeah.
Yeah.
Just as a slice of cake. Yeah. So I felt it left it open for a solo album or a sequel. So
Right. Well, I don't know that anybody closed the portal. Or maybe it just opened and closed. Maybe like with the original experiment, it opened and closed after a few moments, but that was long enough for things to slip through.
yeah.
Because if they didn't close the portal, then
in the
who
sequel,
knows what else?
exactly. Yeah. So in the sequel, some other teenager, or always in the sequel, it's someone younger. So like an 8-year-old will pick up the science books and be, of course, able to decipher it or scan it with AI and then reopen the portal. Done.
There you go. Well,
They make it seem so easy.
Judas Priest. Jed, this year we're using a 5 brains scale. So how many brains are you going to rate Pussy Cake?
I'm always the worst at these things. I'm going to say 2.5 brains.
2.5 brains? Okay.
Yeah, one of the brains didn't get eaten, so they just kind of left it there. They're like, I'll put it in the refrigerator. Maybe I'll eat it for later. Maybe not. 2.5.
Yeah. I think I'm going
about
to give
you?
it 3.5. 3.5.
3.5. Okay.
I think. Well, 3 is it was okay. 4 was I liked it. And I mostly liked it. But I'm not sure it's quite 4 stars. You know what? I'll give it 4 brains. I'm going to give it 4 brains. I'll say I liked it.
Wow. Look at you. Man, just
I liked it.
eating all the damn brains. Not leaving
Yeah.
anything else for anybody else.
Nope. Brains are for me.
Are leftover brains just as good the next day? Like, do they get better the next day? I mean, I'm just asking
Yeah.
for a friend.
As long as you put them in the fridge. Cold brains for breakfast.
Okay. All right. So, like, I'm not a cold pizza person. I always heat
Right.
stuff back up. So, cold brains. All right. I'll give it a shot.
I heat it up these days, but I used to. There's a song, Cold Pizza for Breakfast.
Yeah.
And
no.
a pinch,
In my
and a
youth,
pinch cold
when I
spaghetti
didn't
will
care
do.
about anything. Yeah.
But there's
I
nothing
can't-
in
I
the
just
world
can't
that I
do
like
cold pizza.
better than eating cold pizza with you. I don't know who sings that song. I heard it on Dr. Demento years ago, and it's always stuck with me. Now I'll have to
A
look
nice
it up.
name drop
I'll
there.
put it in the show notes. If I can find it, folks, I'll put it in the show notes.
Put a recipe for leftover brains there as well if you find one
There you go.
in the show notes.
That's going to do it for today, folks. Tune in tomorrow when we'll have another in our 31 Days of the Dead. Until then, I have been Precious D. With me today has been Jed D.
Eat them brains.
Remember to keep calm and take shelter in basements. Please don't misuse science. We won't see
Don't
you
open
like
any
they
little
did in this
portals.
movie. Again, yep, no portals. Close that portal. We won't see you, but you will hear us next time on Monster Movie Fun Time Go. You've been listening to Monster Movie Fun Time Go. If you enjoyed the show, please consider rating and reviewing us on your podcasting platform of choice. You can leave us a message and find links to all our things at mmftg.com.